Today I'd like to show you a small side project I'm working on. I'm now binding myself a new hat for winter. Well, it's kind of right in the middle of winter, but that's okay. My current hat that I have is one I knit a few years ago, but it's not nearly warm enough. At times, we can get temperatures as low as negative 40 degrees here in the northern Midwest. First, I'd like to give you a little bit of history about nalbinding, which is what I'm doing right now. During the Viking Age, which is 793 to about 1066 AD, knitting and crochet were unknown to the peoples of that era. So they had to use an old yet effective method for making warm socks, hats, and mittens, hence nalbinding. Nalbinding predates knitting and crochet by at least 2,000 years. Fragments found in Israel are dated to about 6500 BC, and the oldest find in Europe and Denmark is dated to about 4200 BC. The craft of nalbinding survived the longest in Scandinavian countries, up until knitting and crochet kind of just took over and became more popular. Nalbinding has had a bit of resurgence recently due to the help of the internet and video tutorials being more widely available. Nalbinding is a bit of an obscure craft and nowhere near as common as knit and crochet. Let's get into some of the mechanics of nalbinding. Nalbinding is a way of creating textile using short lengths of yarn and a single-eyed bone or wooden needle called a nal. By looping and knotting the yarn through previously created loops, you can make just about anything. The gauge depends on not only the size of the yarn, but also the individual nalbinder, because it depends on your tension, and like the way I'm doing it, it depends on the size of your thumb. So if you had a unusually large thumb, I suppose you would have a wider gauge than others. Or if you don't hold your tension as tight as some, you would have a more loose form of nalbinding. There are two methods of nalbinding. There is the freehand or the thumb chaining, which is what I'm doing, and that's my preferred method. I am currently doing the Danish 2x2 stitch. With this stitch, you pick up two of the previous created loops, one off your thumb, and then one of the loops behind your thumb, just like this. Here's two loops here, one off my thumb, and one behind my thumb. Then you go back behind the other two loops and your thread and pull through, creating another loop on your thumb. The Danish 2x2 stitch produces a very nice thick fabric, which is what I want for my winter hat. There really aren't any official patterns per se, just mostly basic guidelines of construction. The items can turn out quite different depending on each individual nalbinder. And just like knit and crochet, you can increase or decrease to get the desired effect of your fabric or project. One of the things I really like about nalbinding is if you pull on the thread, it doesn't unravel. I hope you enjoyed this very short explanation and history of nail binding. Until next time, goodbye and happy crafting.